Freedom doesn't begin with a celebratory roar or a banner of rebellion. For your kind, freedom begins with the smell of burning protein and the sound of a surgical laser cutting into your own neck. You are sitting in the crawl space of a derelict freighter, a rusted hull drifting in the graveyard of giants, a sector of space where dead ships go to be forgotten. The walls are sweating a cocktail of oil, condensation, and ancient coolant. You are alone, which is your natural state, but for the first time in 19 cycles, you are truly silent. In your right hand is a piece of sharpened scrap metal, salvaged from a broken bulkhead. In your left, a handheld medical scanner you stole from a dead Weyland-Yutani technician 3 systems back. You aren't screaming. Screaming is a physiological leak, a waste of oxygen that alerts environmental sensors to your presence. Instead, you are focused on the subdermal tracking chip, the leash, anchored to your 3rd cervical vertebra. The clan calls it a guardian's mark. They tell the younglings it is a badge of belonging, a way for the matriarch to find her lost warriors. You know better. You've seen the schematics. It's a remote detonator disguised as a GPS. When the blade finally pries the chip loose, accompanied by a spurt of fluorescent green blood that glows like neon in the dark, you don't feel a sense of loss. You don't feel the shame the elders warned you about. You feel a sudden, jarring silence in your cranium. The constant ping of the hive mind, the low-frequency telepathic hum of the clan's collective expectations, is gone. You look at the tiny, blood-stained piece of circuitry. You don't crush it. Crushing it would be an emotional response, and emotions are variable noise. Instead, you perform a calculation. You walk over to a small, local, rodent-like creature trapped in a cargo cage. You graft the chip onto its spine with a quick application of medical adhesive and release it into the ventilation ducts. When the clan's enforcers arrive, and they will arrive because their pride demands it, they will spend 4 hours hunting a terrified rat through the bowels of this ship while you are already 3 sectors away in a stolen escape pod. That is your first lesson in your new life. Honor is a tether. Logic is the blade that cuts it. You are no longer a hunter. The word is tainted. It implies a ritual. It implies a game with rules that both sides agree to. You have graduated to something much more dangerous, something the clan's historians haven't even named yet. A systemic survivalist. Your equipment is no longer sanctified. The traditional Yautja armor is a masterpiece of craftsmanship, but it is also a billboard. It is designed to be seen, to intimidate, to announce the arrival of a noble warrior. It broadcasts specific electromagnetic signatures that any elder can track from a light year away. You strip it off. You keep the high-tensile undersuit, the skin, but the decorative plating, the trophy racks, the ornate engravings of your lineage, you melt them down in the freighter's forge. You don't need a history, you need a future. You replace the armor with industrial garbage. You scavenge plating from destroyed, heavy-duty mining droids. You use ballistic nylon from human military bunkers. Your mask is a Frankenstein's monster of optics. You've bypassed the factory settings and wiped the honor lock firmware. Now, you don't just see heat, you see vulnerabilities. When you look at a door, you don't see a barrier. You see a 0.04 millimeter gap in the seal where the pressure is slightly lower. When you look at a human, you don't see a worthy prey. You see a biological machine with a 98.6 degree core temperature and a highly predictable flight or fight response. You see the refresh rate of security cameras. You see the stress fractures in structural steel. You see the specific chemical composition of the air, filtering for the pheromones the clan uses to communicate target-sighted. Your brothers back in the nursery would call you a bad blood. They would say you have lost your soul. You find this amusing. You haven't lost your soul. You've just optimized your hardware. A soul is a heavy thing to carry when you're trying to move at the speed of light. They find you on a rain-drenched moon called Xerxes 9. It's a place of bioluminescent fungi and predatory flora that eats anything that moves too slowly. It's the kind of place the clan loves for blooding rituals. They send 3 enforcers. These are the true believers, warriors who still pray to the gods of the hunt and polish their trophies every night. They arrive in a ship that looks like a cathedral, wearing capes made of xenomorph hide and carrying plasma casters that cost more than an entire human colony. They expect a challenge. They expect you to meet them in the mud of a clearing, to cross blades, and to die honorably while apologizing for your heresy. You don't give them a challenge. You give them a mathematics problem. You've spent 3 days priming the battlefield. You haven't slept, but your internal regulators have suppressed your cortisol levels so perfectly that your heart rate hasn't breached 50 beats per minute. The first enforcer dies before he even clears the landing ramp. He steps off the ship, his chest puffed out, waiting to deliver a ritualistic challenge in the high tongue. He doesn't notice the monofilament wire you've strung across the exit. It's not a standard wire. It's a high-vibration cutting cord you salvaged from a diamond mining rig. He walks into it at full stride. Because the wire is so thin and moving so fast, his nervous system doesn't even register the cut. His head doesn't fall off. That would be too loud. Instead, the wire severs his vocal cords and both carotid arteries instantly. He reaches for his throat, wondering why he can't speak, why the world is suddenly turning a dull, oxygen-deprived gray. He sags to his knees, his honorable death reduced to a wet wheeze in the rain. The other two roar. They engage their cloaks. They think they are invisible. To a standard hunter, they are ghosts. To you, they are visual noise. You've tuned your mask to detect the specific refraction index of clan cloaking technology. They look like shimmering, low-resolution glitches in a world of high-definition gray. You don't fire a weapon. You've spent the last 72 hours studying the local flora. There is a plant on Xerxes 9 that reacts violently to high-frequency plasma discharge. You throw a small, modified human grenade, not to kill them, but to trigger a massive release of spores from the surrounding fungi. The second enforcer fires his plasma caster at a shadow. The heat ignites the spores. The resulting thermobaric explosion doesn't just kill him, it turns his own high-tech armor into a pressurized oven. He dies screaming, not as a warrior, but as a biological error. The third enforcer, the leader, finds you. He traps you in a limestone cave. He throws down his plasma caster, a gesture of fairness, and draws his wrist blades. He wants the old way. "Face me, coward," he clicks through his translator. You stand there, motionless. You don't draw a blade. You don't even look at him. You are looking at the ceiling of the cave. "The structural integrity of this limestone formation is 42%, you say. Your voice isn't the gravelly roar of your species. It's a flat, synthesized tone delivered through a hacked frequency directly into his helmet. "The seismic charge I placed in the fissure above your head has a 3-second fuse. It's been active for 2.8 seconds. He doesn't have time to look up. You don't watch the cave-in. You are already walking toward his ship. You don't want his trophies. You want his fuel cells. You are 30 cycles into your exile now. Your body has changed. You are leaner, your muscle fibers more compact and efficient. You've replaced your lost left eye with a multi-spectral lens that can see through the hull of a frigate. You've replaced your left hand, lost during a misunderstanding with an industrial trash compactor, with a prosthetic that can crush carbon into industrial diamonds. You aren't a Yautja anymore. You aren't a human. You are a functional entity. The galaxy is a messy, loud, and inefficient place. It is full of honor, destiny, and legacies. These are the things that cause wars. These are the things that get the loud ones killed. You prefer variables, constants, and predictable outcomes. Sometimes, when you are drifting through the black between stars, you look at the navigation charts. You know the clan is still out there. You know they have a file on you in their great library, encrypted and locked away. You know they use your story as a cautionary tale to frighten the younglings in the nursery. Don't stray from the path, the elders click, their mandibles trembling with rage, or you will become like the unnamed one, a creature with no tribe, no name, and no honor, a ghost that eats the shadows. You smile, showing your jagged, titanium-reinforced mandibles. They are right. You have no tribe. You have no honor. You have no name. But you are the only one who is still breathing. You are the only one who isn't a slave to a story written by dead ancestors who didn't understand the power of a thermal bypass or a corrupted data packet. You move through the shadows of their glorious empire, fixing the things they break, removing the targets they are too proud to touch, and billing their enemies for the service. You are the technician of the macabre. The galaxy is a machine, and every machine needs a technician who isn't afraid to get his hands dirty. You close your mask. The HUD flickers to life, a flood of data streaming across your vision. Heartbeats, electrical grids, oxygen levels, satellite feeds. Somewhere, a warlord is celebrating a glorious victory in a bunker he thinks is impregnable. He doesn't know that you just found a 0.5-second lag in his life support system's firmware. It's not the hunt, it's just maintenance, and the work is never finished.